Lena had always been drawn to the solitude of the mountains. There was something about the stillness, the untamed beauty of the wild that called to her. It had been a tough few months at work, and she craved the kind of peace only nature could provide. So, one Friday afternoon, she packed up her old Jeep and drove to a remote campsite deep in the forest, one she knew few people ventured to. By the time she arrived, the sun was already sinking low on the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. The air smelled of pine and earth, and the only sounds were the gentle rustling of the trees and the occasional chirp of crickets. After setting up her tent, Lena built a fire and settled in for the night, watching the flames dance and the stars slowly appear overhead. She had always loved stargazing. Out here, far from city lights, the sky was a vast canvas dotted with countless stars, each one twinkling like a distant secret. She could easily spend hours just staring up, lost in the immensity of it all. But tonight felt different. The forest around her seemed quieter than usual. There was an almost unnatural stillness in the air, and the usual hum of nocturnal life was absent. The fire crackled, but even that sound seemed muffled, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Just as she was about to shake off the eerie feeling and head into her tent, a sudden flash of light caught her attention. At first, she thought it was a shooting star, but the light didn't streak across the sky. Instead, it hovered, bright, pulsing, and impossibly close. It wasn't coming from above, but from somewhere within the trees ahead of her. Curiosity and fear warring within her, Lena stood and stepped toward the source of the light. The forest was dense, but the light cut through the darkness like a beacon, illuminating the ground and the trunks of the trees in an otherworldly glow. Then she saw them. 3 figures, tall and slender, with skin that shimmered like liquid silver, stood just beyond the fire's edge. They were unlike anything she had ever seen. Their limbs were long and graceful, their bodies slightly elongated, and their heads large with enormous, almond-shaped eyes that seemed to reflect the stars above. Lena's heart pounded in her chest, but she couldn't move. She felt frozen in place, not from fear, but from awe. The beings didn't move closer, but they watched her with those unblinking eyes as if studying her. For a long moment, they simply stood there, the air around them humming with energy. Then, without moving their mouths, she heard them. "Do not fear. We mean no harm. We come only to observe." The voice was inside her mind, soft and calming, like a whisper carried on the wind. She didn't understand how, but she knew they were telling the truth. They weren't here to hurt her. They were curious. Lena swallowed hard, trying to steady her breath. Who are you?" There was no answer, not in the way she expected. Instead, a flood of images filled her mind, visions of distant stars, planets she had never seen, vast stretches of space that went on forever. She saw civilizations rise and fall, technologies that defied her understanding, and a deep connection between worlds light years apart. It was overwhelming, but at the same time, it felt like a gift, like they were sharing a glimpse of something far beyond her comprehension. As quickly as the images came, they faded, leaving her standing in the clearing once more. The beings didn't move, but their message was clear. We are here. We have always been here. Before she could say anything more, the light around them grew brighter, almost blinding, and in the blink of an eye, they were gone. The clearing was dark again, save for the soft glow of the fire. The forest slowly came back to life, the sounds of insects and night creatures returning as if nothing had happened. Lena stood there, her mind racing, her heart still pounding. She didn't know how long she stayed like that, staring at the spot where the beings had stood. When she finally moved, it was like waking from a dream, surreal and disorienting. The rest of the night passed in a blur. She sat by the fire, staring up at the stars, wondering if she had imagined the whole thing. But deep down, she knew it had been real. The images, the message, the beings, they had been as real as the ground beneath her feet. As dawn broke and the sun rose over the horizon, Lena packed up her things and drove away from the campsite. But something had shifted inside her. She wasn't the same person who had arrived the day before. She had seen something few people ever would, and it had changed her. The stars no longer seemed like distant, unreachable points of light. They felt close, like she could reach out and touch them. And somewhere out there, she knew, the beings were watching, observing, waiting